SodaCon 2021 is organized by Soda Foundation, and you must have got a good picture about what the foundation is from Stephen's keynote. But what about the projects and the key features and the use cases and the architecture? What about the current releases? Here with an overview of the Soda projects and a preview of the current Java release of Soda are Ashit Kumar, architect, Soda and Huawei, Najmuddin Sethi, architect from Soda, Praveen Ranjan, architect from Soda and Huawei, and Rashmi Fulper, software and design engineer from Soda and Click to Cloud. Over to you, Ashit, for this the Java release preview.
Hey, thanks, Anvit, for the nice introduction. Let me. Okay, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So today, we have been discussing about Soda Foundation, the mission, the projects, and all. And Soda Foundation has been coming up with releases every quarter. And recently, we have the Soda Open Data Framework had this Java release. So today, we will be going through some of the features of the Java release, where my friends and co-speakers will be introducing you to that. Let's, okay. Okay, so first of all, if you see, like Soda Foundation has got multiple projects. And as you know, this is a data management projects that are combined over here. So if we start with, there are some of the core projects, that is the API, controller, doc, multi-cloud. We'll go over the actual reason why these projects are there, NBP, Delphin. And once you have these core projects, the end user needs to check that how it works, how the features are coming up. So for that, there is an experience project for which there is a Soda dashboard. Then we have the end-to-end, all the projects, you can install it through the Soda installer. And then we have the Soda documentation, where you can find the documentation for different user guide, the developer guide, the support metrics, and whatnot. So there are multiple things over there. And then we have experimented with some of the projects, like for the orchestration. Then we have the anomaly detection project. And when you go to the examples project, there you can find lots of experiments that we have done, and we have been doing some of the POCs based upon that. Okay, so moving on to the next. If you see the overall Soda framework, we have on the north side, we have the computes and all, the edge, core, and cloud. And then on the south side, you will find the different storages, be it physical storage or the cloud storage or the container native storage. And in between, we have different components like the Soda API for the data protection, for the data monitoring. So we have different projects. And as you know, we have been hearing it for quite some time in different events and different platforms, that Soda is an open data framework connecting disparate solutions into seamless end-to-end solutions. Now, if you go to the different projects, and if I want to combine why these projects are, so you can see that on-premise storage can be managed through API controller and doc. Then those storages can be monitored. The storage can be monitored through the Delphin projects. Then we are combining the cloud with the multi-cloud project. We'll go through these projects, some of the demos in the session today. And then you have the container storage and the northbound ecosystem, where you can start managing the container storage, the northbound ecosystem using the NBP or the CSI plugin, or we have one CSI plug and play inside the NBP, through which you can pick any of the CSI vendor CSI and just plug it with the Soda Foundation and start using it. And then we have come up with the Soda Syncer. So during the SodaCon, tomorrow we'll have more insight into what exactly the Soda Syncer is. It's basically a data protection for the containerized world, where you can have policy-based snapshots created to the cloud. And then we have the experimental features. For the experience features, we have installer dashboard documentation. And we have done one of the POC for the edge. That is where we have combined API, controller, doc, NBP with the Cubase solution. Cubase is an external project, which we have integrated and tried to give a POC for that. Okay, so we have talked about like the different projects that we have. And with every release, if you see, like Soda started its release with Elba, and before that, the earlier incarnation of Soda was like OpenSTS, which started with Aruba release. So from A to J, we have reached till J. And the Jerba release, some of the key features, you can go to the GitHub and check that what exactly are there in the release. Some of the key features or highlights are the enhanced performance metrics collection for heterogeneous storage devices, which Najmuddin will be taking you through. And then host learn mapping from the storage side, how the learns are mapped to the host. So storage host basically. And then we have started supporting the NetApp C mode. So all these we'll see the demo today. Then recently we have added this storage service plan, which is like you can tier your backends into different tiers like gold, silver, diamond, or whatever the end user defines. So it is a customizable storage service plan for the multi-cloud. Then we have the bucket management. If you see, like with the previous release, we have been continuing the bucket management, and now with this release, we have like integrated all of the major cloud providers for the bucket management, which definitely Rashmi will show you the demo for that. And then we have this policy-based app consistent snapshot to cloud, where we are using the RESTIC-based, the file system snapshots. So RESTIC-based solution that we have created, where you can see the container, how the container data can be protected across into the cloud and can be made resilient. And then, as we said, like CSI plug and play, we have enhanced and extended it. And now you can run multiple CSI plugins on the same platform. Then definitely the documentation has come a long way. We have enriched it with the user guide, development guide, and all. And of course, the dashboard. Now you see a very enhanced dashboard with the multiple UX enhancements, as well as the features getting into this. And of course, the installer, which has been made resilient to come up across your system reboot or process restarts. So this is basically the very high level things about the Jerba release, what we have provided. And definitely, like I'll hand it over to Najmuddin to take you, and Najmuddin, Praveen, and Rashmi will be taking you through the different features. Over to you, Naju.
Thanks, Ashit. Let me share. Hello, everyone. Myself, Najmuddin. I am a maintainer of Soda Foundation. I am currently leading this Delphin project. Before I go to the demo, I would like to just introduce Delphin to you people. Delphin, which is the Soda Infrastructure Manager, is an open source project to provide unified, intelligent, and scalable resource management, alert, and performance monitoring. As you can see in the diagram, Delphin is a single platform where you collect information from heterogeneous devices and provide that information for visualization, monitoring, or analysis to any infrastructure management platforms. Right? So Delphin currently collects resource configuration information, capacity information, alert, and performance metrics. Nowadays, the storage infrastructure is a multi-vendor shop. So every infrastructure will have devices from different vendor models. Managing this using different management tool is a pain to storage administrators. So Delphin is a solution for a single pane of glass management. Every device will have its own access mechanism. As you can see, some arrays may be accessed through REST-based mechanism. Some may be using native CLI mechanism, or SMIS-based access or SSH-based access. Delfin provides drivers to connect to the southbound devices, through which Delfin collects the information, and Delfin unifies that information and provide to the northbound platforms in the form of exporters. So Delfin has drivers to collect information from devices. Delfin has exporters to export the collected information to other platforms. So with that, I'm moving to some key features from Delfin in Jerba release. In Jerba release, the storage performance monitoring is enhanced with a distributed scheduler. And Delfin enhanced the framework with the new metric support. And this earlier we had only device level metric support. Now we have at the resource level, like storage pool metrics, volume, disk, controller. So all these resource level metrics can be supported. Apart from that, we have the framework is enhanced to support host to LEN mapping views. So the storage host to LEN, how storage host and LEN is mapped, that view can be discovered through Delfin. In Jerba, we have added a new model, backend model, that is NetApp cluster mode arrays. We already have around 9 drivers to support different storage backends. So all these drivers are enhanced to support existing resources like volume, pool, disk, controller, and port. So these are the highlights of Jerba release. In this demo, I will be demonstrating how we monitor the storage resource metrics, how to view host to LEN mapping using a demo storage discovered, and the access mechanism for NetApp C mode. How do you register through SODA dashboard? And just a glance of how resource monitoring, how capacity and other configurations can be monitored through SODA dashboard using Delfin. Also, in this release, we have added a support of container-based Delfin deployment. So I'll be demonstrating how to deploy Delfin in a container-based way. So this demo actually, I wanted to cover 3 use cases. One use case is how do you discover a storage system for monitoring configuration, capacity, performance, and alerts through SODA dashboard? How do you use the metrics to monitor and analyze different resource performance metrics? And how do you view a mapping of host to LEN from the discovered storages? With that, I'm going to the demonstration. So just starting with how we enable the Delfin in a container-based deployment way. So in SODA dashboard, we have YAML configuration, Ansible YAML configuration. There you need to mention Delfin installation type as container. And you can just follow the SODA installation method. Once you install, you would see a new Docker image named SODA Foundation Delfin. And there will be, you will see a deployed environment for Docker process running. These all are task, alert, API, and exporter. These all are the required process to be running in a Delfin environment. Now I will show how do we register a storage for monitoring. This is through SODA dashboard. In SODA dashboard, we have a separate session for resource monitor. Under resource monitor storage summary, click on register. We have to list the vendors and model. So based on your backend type, you select the vendor and model. Currently, we have support of Dell EMC, Huawei, HP, Hitachi, IBM, NetApp. And just to evaluate the framework, we have a support of a demo storage driver. And on this models, we support some backends. So for this demo purpose, I am registering a demo storage driver. So once you register, the Delphin will start syncing the information from backend to Delphin. This includes the storage configuration collection, capacity collection, and alert collection. So you can see that it's being synced. And once it is registered, it will be registered for a scheduled performance collection as well. Now I will show you the new support, the NetApp C mode. So once you select NetApp and C mode, you will have to provide the SSH parameter required to connect to NetApp arrays. Once you register a backend storage, you will see the configuration information: storage pool, volume, controller, port, disk. And if it is a NAS-based system or a unified system, you would see some more information like Q-trees, file system, shares, and quotas. These are the NAS resources. You would also see some parameters, some fields based on the resource you select, right? And each resource type you can expand and see that resource specific details. Along with the configuration information, we also collect capacity information, used capacity, usable capacity, and free capacity information at different resource levels. Now I am moving to the performance monitoring side. For displaying the performance monitor, we use Grafana, and we embed the Grafana dashboard in Soda dashboard itself. We support different resource type monitoring. So as you can see, controller, disk, port, storage pool, and volume level metric monitoring we support. To make everything in one dashboard, we created an overall performance monitor dashboard. In that, you can select the Delphin storage discovered, the type of the resource, and once you select the type of the resource, you can also select the instance of that resource type. And once you select that instance, you would see all the metrics supported and collected for that resource type. You can also change the time interval for which time interval you wanted to see. And just an example for volume, if you select volume, so you would see metrics for response time, throughput, IOPS, and IO size, and some cache hit ratio. So these informations are collected periodically, and by default we use Prometheus as a persisting platform. Now I am moving to the next feature demonstration, that is the host to LUN mapping relation. So from Jerba onwards, our framework is enhanced to support masking view. So masking view is nothing but how the storage host and storage LUN are related. In different backends, there are different mechanisms to relate your host and LUN. So it can be either through a group like host group, port group, volume group, or it can be a direct mapping from a direct storage host to volume and a port. So just to demonstrate this, we have a masking view which has a direct relation with the storage host, volume, and port. And to see the host details, you can open the pop-up window, and it will show the initiators available for that host. And similarly, volume details you can see. Similarly, port details also you can see. So these are the some highlights of Jerba, and yeah, that's it from my side. I will hand it over to Praveen, Rashmi, for explaining some of the multi-cloud features from SODA. Thank you.
Thank you, Naju. So, hello everyone. This is Rashmi. I'm working at Click2Cloud as a software design engineer since 1.5 years, and I have worked extensively into storage domain. So let's start with the introduction of a SODA multi-cloud. So SODA multi-cloud provides a cloud vendor for a multiple cloud provider, that is AWS, Azure, Cloud, GCP, IBM Cloud, and many more. So this is one of a platform. Here you can access the multiple cloud provider services, storage service for object, file, and block. So this is one of an platform that user can access multiple cloud providers and use a storage service. Move towards the key features from multi-cloud. So first one is a creation of a bucket. So bucket is nothing but a container that user can store their data under the bucket. User can store unlimited amount of data or any type of data. So this is one where you can store your data on cloud. Next one is the object archival and retrieval. So currently in now, AWS is one of the leading cold storage where Glacier restoration were supported. So here for directly uploading an object from into Glacier, you can upload object directly into the Glacier and retrieve it by applying a restore functionality. For this, you can use archival retrieval functionality, and for this you can store your this one of the lowest cost storage service and allowing user to archive large amount of data at very low cost. So this is one of the feature that we are added. Next one is the migration. So migration is nothing but a migrating your data from one cloud to another cloud, across the cloud or within a same cloud. Here user can migrate from same cloud and across the cloud, having an option of delete object from source after the migration is done. So in this way, user can save their storage cost also for migrating one cloud to another cloud. So let's move towards the live demo. Here is a SODA dashboard. User need to log in by using their credential, admin and password. Here you can see the number of cloud provided or supported. Just click on add icon. Here you can see for using the storage service or creating a bucket or the functionality. So we have to first register a backend. For this, you have to register backend by clicking on add icon for any cloud provider that you want. So you have to provide a name, backend name, type, under which cloud you want to create or register your backend. Here I selected a Alibaba Object Storage, region, endpoint, access, and security key. Click on OK. Here you can see you can register successfully a backend of Alibaba. Then move towards the resource, and under the resource manager there is a bucket option. Here you can see for this option you can create a bucket to store your data. For this you have to fill this information like providing a bucket name, select cloud provider that you recently created, backend, and here you can apply encryption and encryption here for your bucket to encrypt. Here we are support a server-side encryption for the bucket. Just click on OK. Here you can see bucket is created. We can cross verify by going to the console also. Here you can see the bucket is created. Then upload an object under the bucket. Object is listed here. For download, click on download. Here you can save your downloaded file. Then for archival and retrieval, you have to create one AWS bucket. So you need to follow the same process for creating a bucket. Click on create bucket, provide bucket name, type. Here you have to select backend and you have to register a one backend for AWS as we are registered for Alibaba. So here you can see AWS bucket is created. For uploading in Glacier, you have to select object and enable this archive object and select a tire. Then for restoration, here you can see the three options: expedite, standard and bulk. For restoration, to retrieve or return a data, this three option will be provided. That is a tire. You can specify the number of days and the option for and the tire. So if user selected expedite, so it will require or return a data in 1 to 10 minutes. If user select a standard, it return a data in 1 or 2 days. And if user select a bulk, it will return data in 1 to 2 days or 1 to 15 hours. Then click on OK. Restoration applied successfully, and after some time, user can able to download this object. By cross-verifying that AWS bucket is created or not, we checked on console of AWS. Here you can see the bucket is created. So next one is and last is the migration. So migrating your object from source to destination, you have to create one migration plan for this. So provide one migration plan name, select your source bucket and destination bucket where you want to migrate. I just selected one Alibaba bucket and as a source and one AWS bucket as a destination. Here user have a two option for a migration. User can schedule a migration or immediate a migration. In schedule migration, user need to specify date and time, and if user want to migrate immediately, then you click on immediate. And here you can see one more option: delete the source object after the migration is done. So user, if click on that option, so after the migration, the object from source bucket will get deleted, and in this way user can save the storage cost of bucket. So we click on immediate and OK. Here you can see one plan is listed here, and here we can see all the information: the start time, end time, migration capacity, migrate object, and the status. It is showing succeed. So we can cross verify this by moving to the bucket and AWS. Here you can see object of Alibaba bucket refresh icon new SVG will get migrated to AWS bucket. So this is where migration will happen, and we can also cross verify into console on console. Here you can see. So this is all from my side. Thank you, and over to Praveen.
Okay. Hi. Thank you, Rasmi. So, hello everybody. This is Praveen. I will go through the next part of the multi-cloud, and I can share my screen now. Right. So you can see my screen, right? So Rasmi was talking about the main feature of the multi-cloud. In this release, we have come up with another feature known as the storage service plan. So what is the storage service plan basically? So it is to just abstract the storages so that user cannot see basically. So it's admin related operations where admin will manage each and everything and to hide the storage from the users. So this decision may be or can be taken based on some policy and some other things, but it's an admin operation and admin can create some plan, and which plan belongs to which user, which tenant, he can decide it. So this is the overall high level of the storage service plan. Now, this is the just wanted to show the high level view of the user and tenant relationship, how it happens generally. So as you can see that there are multiple users, some users are part of the some tenants, and the storage service plan admin can set storage service plan, for example, gold to a tenant 1 and silver to maybe tenant 1 and tenant 2. So he know that which users are part of which tenant and all. So admin can decide and he can create this type of relationship. Now I'm coming to the these two diagrams, what it talks is. So if you see the first diagram, left side one, so what Rasmi was explaining about the SODA and how SODA manages all the cloud vendors, public cloud basically, as well as the on-premise storage. So how SODA manages directly. So any user can log into the SODA dashboard or SODA platform, and he can register those cloud providers as a backend, and he can manage it. Now in the right side diagram, if you enable the SSP, I mean storage service plan, what will happen? Admin will create this another layer, just like the green color you can see in the diagram. So admin will create this, and he will only create the gold belongs to, or maybe storage A, storage B will come into the gold, storage C and D, just for example, come to the silver and all. He can create a plan, and those plan only visible to the user. So that's the difference between with SSP or without SSP. With SSP, directly all the cloud public clouds and storage will be accessible. With SSP, only you can know the storage service plan because these are the these cloud providers or storage will be abstracted in terms of the plan only. So this is the high level things. Now I will demonstrate how we have implemented and how you can create that. Okay, so here this is the recorded video. This is the first page. You can simply go to the docs.sodafoundation.io, and in user guide you can see how you can enable storage service plan if you want to use it. Basically, you have to enable one flag during the installation. That flag you have to make it as a true, and follow the remaining installation steps. It will be installed. And once that setup is ready, now you can log into the SODA dashboard, and as an admin user, because you have to create some storage service plan, so that user can access. So first, as an admin, you can see that right corner storage service plan will be there. Okay, here right side, and then you can come and create the storage service plan through this tunnel. Before that, you may want to register and all. So Rasmi has already explained about that, how you can register the backend and all. So here some examples I have given. We can skip for now. Now another thing that as an admin you can manage this framework also, means the tenant and user relationship you can create. For example, here I have created few tenants and few users. So 2 tenants you can see in the diagram, and few users are already there. So this is just for demo purpose we have created. Now as an admin, he can come and he can create the storage service plan. So if you come to this page, you can see that you have to give the name and the backend type. So here, just for demo purpose, I have given the name as a for tenant 1, so that it will be only accessible to the tenant 1 users. And then you can specify that which backend and all the backends, registered backend will be listed, and you can select that. In the later part, you can select the tenant. Means this user service plan should belongs to which tenant basically. So for simplicity, I have given the just name for tenant 1. You can give the any name, gold, bronze, or whatever appropriate to you. So few storage plans has been created. Now here there is another option. Once the storage plans are created, you can go and update also. So in update, what you can do, you can add and remove backends, you can add and remove tenants. So that is possible. So basically once you create, and then you can do anything over that storage service plan. Once that is done, as you can see that now you can create a bucket. So admin also can create a bucket, and user can also create a bucket. So here you can see that currently I'm in the admin console only. So little bit slightly create bucket menu will be changed. For example, name, instead of the backend, now the service plan will be coming. So for admin will be responsible for each and every service plan. So for admin, all the service plan will be visible. For example, 4 service plans are visible here. So he can pick any of the service plan. I can create the bucket. Once the bucket is created, he can do each and every other operations related to the bucket. Was, for example, uploading the file, migration, and other things you can do. So as an admin, you can do each and everything. Now as a user, in this console, I am trying to log in as a user, and let's see what will happen whenever I log into the user. So once I log into the user, I cannot see any storage service plan here, because this is restricted to the admin role only. User cannot do anything. User only can see the storage service plan available to him, and he can create the bucket on this. So for example, here you can see that I can give any name, but service plan only 2 available for him. So based on these 2 service plan only, he can create a bucket. So he has, let's say, selected one service plan, and based on that, he has created a bucket. And then once the bucket is created, you can perform each and any every operations like migration, uploading, downloading, all the operations we are supporting. So that's the thing. So using service plan, we are basically hiding the backend. In which backend it is going to create the bucket for user, it will be completely unknown. And that was the main use case for the supporting the feature of like storage service plan and all. Thank you. So this is the demo all about the storage service plan and multi-cloud. So over to you, Anvit.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Praveen, for that quick demo on storage service plans. Thank you, Naju, and thank you, Rashmi, for your demos as well. And thank you, Ashit, for the overview on Soda and Soda projects. If you want to check out the latest release of Soda, the Soda release is called Soda Jerba v1.4.0. Please check out the GitHub for the Soda release. Try it out, install, play around. If you have any questions, meet us on Slack, and we will definitely help you out. With that, it's time now to quickly move on to the next session because we are really out of time. So let's all log on to the next session, and that is the lightning talk on storage performance in the enterprise cloud by John Stephens. Let's move on now to the next session.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.